Welcome, brave souls, to a realm where shadows whisper secrets too vile for the light. I'm here to unravel tales so chilling that your skin will crawl long after the silence falls. Help me reach my first 1,000 subscribers, hit that button now, and together, let's unearth the horrors awaiting us tonight. It was a cool autumn afternoon as I walked home from the park. The sun was setting, dyeing the sky in shades of orange and pink. My cousin and I were walking along, but I couldn't resist the urge to run ahead. The corner store called my name, promising me a sweet treat to end the day. I turned the corner, my sneakers clicking on the pavement in excitement. Just then, I heard the door creak open behind me. I glanced back and saw him, a tall man with messy gray hair and thick gloves walking out into the sunset. He didn't say a word, just started walking, matching my pace exactly. I slowed down, curious and a little nervous. He stopped too, his eyes fixed on mine. My heart started to beat faster. What did he want? Why was he following me? I sped up again, hoping to get away from him. But he was there, keeping up with my every step. The silence of the dusk was too heavy now, as if it were pressing down on me. I needed to escape, to find my aunt and cousin. But when I glanced back again, the man was still there, silent and steady, like a shadow that refused to let go. My heart pounding, I ran across the street, hoping to escape the strange man who was following me. To my surprise, he crossed too, his movements strangely synchronized with mine. The streetlights flickered above, casting a dim light that did nothing to calm my rising panic. I glanced back and saw him scanning the area, his face etched with worry, as if he was plotting something dark. It was as if he was checking to make sure no one was watching. I held my breath, and for a moment, I froze, rooted to the spot with fear. Then a lifeline, my cousin, appeared across the street. Relief washed over me, and I ran toward them, desperate to escape the man's terrifying presence. The memory of that encounter clung to me like a shadow, haunting me for years. As I approached my cousin, I took one last look. There he stood, still under the streetlight, his eyes locked on mine. The image of him, bathed in that flickering light, was seared into my mind, a chilling reminder of the night the man in the mirror became my obsession. 10 years had passed since that cold evening, and now, at the age of 18, I was back in my old neighborhood, having just graduated from a prestigious university. The memory of the man with the messy gray hair and thick gloves was still there, a haunting echo of my childhood. As I walked down the familiar streets, I couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to discover. My friends, who were interested in my story, agreed to help me investigate. We set our sights on an abandoned house on Hollow Street, the same house I remembered from that fateful day. Abandoned, overgrown with weeds. We approached cautiously, the house appearing before us like a forgotten secret. The windows were dark, the door locked. The house seemed mysterious, as if it was holding its breath, waiting for us to discover its secrets. With a mixture of excitement and trepidation, we decided to find a way in. This house might hold the answers to the questions that had haunted me for so long. And as we stood there, staring at the locked door, I felt like I was about to do something big. After groping our way through the abandoned house, we were drawn to a nearby alley. There, hidden behind thick bushes, we discovered a rusty blue van with no license plate. It looked like it had been forgotten for years, like the secrets it might hold. We cautiously approached and peered inside. What we found made me shiver. Duct tape, children's shoes, and an old camcorder with no battery. The sight of those little shoes made me dizzy, bringing back memories of that scary evening long ago. Determined to explore further, we decided to buy batteries for the camcorder. After turning it on, we rewound the footage, waiting with bated breath. The screen flickered to life, showing a silent shot of a young boy walking down a familiar street. My heart stopped. It was me, as a child, the day I met that mysterious man. The realization hit us like a ton of bricks. This wasn't just a creepy coincidence. It was chilling evidence. Without hesitation, we agreed to let the police in. This truck, this footage, it was all connected to the man who haunted my childhood. It was time to bring the truth to light and end this nightmare once and for all. With the police involved, my friend's cousin, who worked at the police station, offered to help us dig deeper. We went to the local police archives, a place filled with dusty files and forgotten stories. As we sifted through the files, a chilling pattern emerged. Over the past 2 decades, several children had disappeared from our neighborhood. The timeline of these disappearances matched exactly with the day I first saw the man with the messy gray hair and thick gloves. My heart raced as I realized the gravity of what we were uncovering. This wasn't just my childhood fear. It was a much larger, darker mystery. What caught our attention most was a recurring detail in every missing child report, a mysterious reference to a man in gloves. It was the same description that haunted my memory for years. The connection was undeniable, and it sent shivers down my spine. We knew we were onto something big. These missing person files weren't just cold cases. They were pieces of a puzzle that could finally bring closure to so many families. And for me, it was a chance to confront the shadow that had hung over my life for so long. That night, when I returned home, I was still reeling from the discoveries at the police station. As I tried to fall asleep, the neighbor's dog began barking incessantly at my back fence. The sound pierced the stillness of the night, making me uneasy. Suddenly, I was jolted awake by a strange feeling, as if something or someone was out there. I strained my eyes in the darkness, but saw nothing out of the ordinary. Just a sense of foreboding, a persistent sense of being watched. The next morning, I walked into the backyard and saw fresh footprints in the soft dirt near the fence. They were clear and distinct, a silent testament to the presence of someone or something lurking in the night. My heart raced as I realized the implications. Determined to uncover the truth, I decided to install a camera. It was a small device, but it would capture the evidence I needed. That night, as I anxiously examined the footage, my breath caught in my throat. There, standing silently behind the fence, was a man. He stared directly into the lens, wearing gloves, a chilling image that would haunt my nightmares for years. I realized it. The man from my childhood, the one connected to the missing children, he was still out there. And now, he was watching me from his own backyard. The chilling image of the man in my backyard spurred me into action. I couldn't let this nightmare continue. With a mixture of determination and fear, I returned to Hollow Street at night, alone this time. The quiet street felt strange, the shadows playing tricks on my mind. As I approached the abandoned house, my heart pounded in my chest. Before I could reach the door, it swung open as if inviting me in. Swallowing my fear, I stepped inside, the darkness closing in on me. The air was thick with dust and secrets. As my eyes adjusted, I saw them faded photographs taped to the walls, a gallery of lost children. Each image, a haunting reminder of the mystery that had engulfed my life. And then I saw it, a photograph of me as a boy, taken on the very day I first met the man with the messy gray hair and thick gloves. It was like a punch in the gut, confirming my worst fears. This house, these photographs, all connected to the man who had haunted me for so many years. The connection was undeniable. and it sent a shiver down my spine. Standing in the dimly lit room, surrounded by the faces of the missing, I knew I had gone too far to turn back. I needed to uncover the truth, no matter how terrifying it might be. Inside the abandoned house, the atmosphere was tense. As I stood among the haunting photographs, a faint sound caught my attention, muffled voices coming from somewhere within the walls. My heart raced as I searched for the source, eventually discovering a trapdoor in the floor. With trembling hands, I lifted the trapdoor and descended into the darkness below. The air grew colder, and the voices grew louder. I found myself in a hidden room, and there, in the darkness, was a typewriter, its keys clicking as if possessed. I approached cautiously, my eyes fixed on the paper rolling out of the machine. It was typing reports, detailing my every move. The realization hit me like a wave. This man, with his messy gray hair and thick gloves, had been watching me this whole time, recording my life. I held my breath as I read the last line on the page. He's here again, and this time, I'm ready. The words sent a chill down my spine, but they also lit a fire inside me. I'd come this far, faced my fears, and now I was ready to end it. It was time to discover the truth and end this haunting chapter in my life. It was a cold, late fall night when my uncle and I were returning from the movies in the small town of Oak Hollow, Maryland. The streets were deserted, covered in a light fog that made everything seem a little mysterious. We were driving down a small road near an old abandoned railroad bridge when something caught our eye. At first glance, it looked like a wounded deer lying in the middle of the road. My heart skipped a beat, worried for the animal. But as we got closer, the creature did something unexpected. It spread its large bat-like wings and soared into the night sky. I was stunned, my eyes wide as I watched it disappear into the fog. After it disappeared, my uncle slowed down the car, and we both looked at each other, speechless. Then, I noticed something on the road, a single, completely black feather. When I picked it up, it was surprisingly warm to the touch, almost as if it were still alive. I tucked it into my pocket, feeling both excited and nervous about what I had just witnessed. That night, as I lay in bed, I couldn't stop thinking about the winged creature and the mysterious feather. Little did I know that this was just the beginning of a strange and thrilling adventure. The next morning, I couldn't shake the memory of the winged creature. I hid the black feather in a small box under my bed, hoping to keep it safe. But when I touched it again, I heard soft whispers, like distant voices, speaking a language I couldn't understand. It was both strange and intriguing, and it made me want to learn more. Frustrated by the mystery, I decided to go to the local library. Perhaps there was something in old newspapers or books that could explain what I had seen. As I was digging through the archives, I came across a series of newspaper clippings from 1982 about disappearances near the same railroad bridge where I had seen the creature. Each report mentioned a sighting of a strange creature. One article caught my attention. It quoted a girl named Eliza Moore, who described the creature as a sad-looking winged man. Those words sent shivers down my spine. But there were still so many unanswered questions. Who was Eliza Moore? And what did she know about the creature? With the feather still humming its mysterious whispers in my pocket, I knew I had discovered something big. This was just the beginning of my exploration of the secrets of Oak Hollow. That night, after being immersed in the mysteries at the library, I couldn't keep all of this to myself. I invited my friends to go for a night walk near the town's reservoir, hoping the fresh air would help clear my mind. As we walked along the water's edge, my best friend Jaden came running towards me. Suddenly, he rushed towards me, his eyes wide with excitement and fear. He told me that he saw something watching us from across the water. At first, it was just a shadow, but then it disappeared as soon as the headlights of a car swept past the area. My heart pounded. Could it be the creature I saw on the foggy road? Jaden pulled out his phone, showing me a photo he had taken. The photo was a little blurry, but if you looked closely, you could see the faint reflection of glowing eyes in the water. It gave me the creeps. We both wondered if this had anything to do with the disappearances and the winged man Eliza Moore had mentioned. There was something about this place that drew us in, as if it held the answer to every question swirling in my mind. The next morning, the fog was thick as Jaden and I returned to the abandoned railroad bridge. As we explored the rusted structure, a chill ran down my spine. Suddenly, the whispers returned, clearer than ever. They echoed in my ears. "It's not safe. He's waiting." My heart pounded as I tried to make sense of the warning. Was that the voice I heard from the feather? As I scanned the bridge, my eyes fell on something etched into the metal. Eliza 1982. The name startled me. It couldn't have been a coincidence. Eliza Moore, the girl in the article, her name here, was etched into the bridge where the disappearance had occurred. Jaden and I looked at each other, both realizing that we were onto something much bigger than we had imagined. The mystery deepened, and the whispers led us closer to the truth. On our way back from the bridge, Jaden and I happened upon a small antique shop with the name Eliza engraved on the sign. Curiosity got the better of us, and we decided to step inside. The shopkeeper told us that the shop was filled with all sorts of trinkets and old artifacts, each with its own story. Feeling a little bold, we asked the shopkeeper about Eliza. He seemed to know exactly who we were talking about, and led us to a dusty corner, where he pulled out an old, leather-bound diary. He said it was Eliza Moore's, and filled with her dreams about the creature we saw. As I turned the pages, I was drawn into Eliza's world. She wrote of the creature not as a demon, but as a sentinel, warning her of something much worse lurking in the shadows. Her words made my heart race. Could this be the creature that left me the feather? The last page of the diary sent a shiver down my spine. It read, "When the fog returns, the darkness returns." It felt like a warning, a piece of the puzzle we needed to solve. After reading Eliza's diary, Jaden and I knew we had to return home. We discovered more than we expected, and the mystery only deepened. The fog, the whispers, and now this diary, they were all connected, and we were determined to find a way. As Jaden and I were making our way home, the sky suddenly darkened, and a storm rolled in, fierce and unexpected. The roads quickly flooded, and before we knew it, the power was out across Oak Hollow. In the chaos, Jaden and I had lost each other again. I frantically searched for him, calling his name through the storm. That was when I saw it, the creature from the foggy path, wings spread, blocking my path. My heart raced as it closed in, but instead of attacking, it seemed to be trying to stop me from going any further. I fought back, trying to get away from it, desperately searching for Jaden. Suddenly, out of nowhere, a tall, faceless figure emerged from the darkness. It was unlike anything I had ever seen, terrifying and ominous. The creature immediately turned its attention to this new threat, charging at the faceless figure with a ferocity that shocked me. In the midst of their fight, I suddenly felt a surge of heat in my pocket. The feather I had been carrying, the one that had started all of this, was burning. I watched in horror as it crumbled to ash, giving me the sinking feeling that something much worse was about to happen. With no time to escape, I could only watch as the creature fought to protect me from the darkness that had now come to life. The storm continued, and I had no idea when this would end. I spent a terrible night in this place, the morning light filtering through the remnants of the storm, casting a soft glow over Oak Hollow. I went looking for my friend with more anxiety than ever. Not long after, I found Jaden unconscious near the bridge, but fortunately, he was unharmed. The town was abuzz with talk of the storm being a weather phenomenon, but I knew better. The events of the night before were no coincidence. As I walked home, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were being watched, and then I saw a dark figure perched on the water tower, its silhouette unmistakable against the rising sun. It stood there, silently observing before spreading its wings and flying off into the dawn. The sight filled me with both relief and determination. The creature, the whispers, Eliza's journal, it all connected to a larger mystery. I knew we had to dig deeper, to uncover the truth behind the darkness that threatened Oak Hollow. In the 1990s, I was Max, a 10-year-old boy living in a quiet suburban town. Tonight, I was home alone for the first time in a 2-story yellow house, right on the edge of a dense forest. My parents had gone to a fancy corporate event and left me with strict instructions. Lock all the doors and don't answer any phone calls. Easy, right? As the sun dipped below the horizon, I felt a rush of excitement. I had the whole place to myself. I spent the evening like a king playing my favorite video games, munching on snacks, and pretending to be a grown-up. It was great. But then, things started to get strange. The phone rang, interrupting the silence of the house. I remembered what my parents had said, but curiosity got the better of me. I picked up, only to be greeted by a wall of static. There was a faint whisper somewhere, but I couldn't make out a word. It was creepy, but I ignored it. Maybe it was just a prank call. The night dragged on, and I kept getting strange calls. Every time that static and that creepy whisper, it was starting to make me uneasy, but I told myself it was nothing. Just part of the adventure of being home alone. As I returned to my video game, I couldn't shake the feeling that tonight was going to be nothing more than normal. After those strange phone calls, I decided to take a break and make myself a sandwich. I was in the kitchen, spreading mayonnaise on some bread, when a sudden chill ran down my spine. It was like a cold wind, but all the windows were closed. Strange. I looked up, and my heart almost stopped. Through the glass of the back door, I saw it, a tall, slender figure with pale skin and eyes that glowed a terrifying yellow. It was staring at me. I blinked, and just like that, it was gone. Was I imagining it? Pushing away my unease, I walked to the door and double-checked the lock. It was secure, but as I turned to leave, something caught my eye. Inside the glass door, there was a strange handprint. It wasn't mine, and it definitely hadn't been there before. Feeling a little scared, I hurried back to my room, trying to convince myself that it was all just my imagination, playing tricks on me. But deep down, I knew something was wrong in this house tonight. Back in my room, I tried to shake off the creepy feeling from downstairs. But as soon as I stepped into the upstairs hallway, the lights started flickering. It was like something out of a horror movie. I glanced into the hallway mirror and froze. There was a gray figure standing right behind me. I spun around, but there was no one there. Was I crazy? The house was eerily quiet, but then I started to hear light footsteps, as if someone was creeping around, and there was a low hum, almost like a lullaby, but it made me shiver. I stood still, trying to figure out where it was coming from, but it seemed to be everywhere and nowhere at the same time. I rushed into the bedroom, hoping to find some comfort in my familiar space, but the flickering lights and strange sounds still followed me. What's going on in this house tonight? In the bedroom, I was trying to calm myself by listening to music. I turned up the volume, hoping it would drown out the strange sounds from earlier. But then, I heard something new. A faint whisper coming from under the closet door. It was soft, but it sent shivers down my spine. I stopped the music and listened closely. The whispering continued, almost as if it were calling to me. I couldn't ignore it. I walked to the closet and slowly opened the door, expecting to see nothing. But what I saw made my heart race. There was a deep indentation in the wood, as if something or someone was trying to claw its way out. I backed away, my mind racing. What was going on in the house? It was the middle of the night, and I woke with a start. There was a strange feeling that someone was watching me. I opened my eyes and saw a gray figure standing at the foot of the bed, completely still. It was the same figure I'd seen in the mirror and heard whispering from the closet, but this time it was right in my room. I froze, unable to move or even breathe. The figure's face wasn't as blank as before. It was smiling, and that smile sent a chill down my spine. Then it happened. The figure whispered my name, clear as day, Max. I screamed, the sound piercing the silence of the house. My heart was pounding so hard I thought it might burst. At that moment, my parents burst into the room, their faces filled with panic. I didn't know when they'd returned. They rushed to me, but their attention was quickly diverted to the chaos around us. All the mirrors in my room were shattered, broken glass everywhere, and when they picked me up, I felt something wet and warm on my arm. I was bleeding. The next day, I was still reeling from the night before. My arm was bandaged, but the fear was still there. I couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to this house than I knew. So, despite my parents' warnings, I decided to check the entire house, including the basement. It was dark and musty, but I kept going until I discovered an old chest tucked away in a corner. It was covered in dust, as if it hadn't been touched in years. I opened it, and inside, I found a stack of old newspapers. My heart pounded as I began to read. A headline caught my eye. Local boy misses from Yellow House, only child never found. I felt a chill down my spine as I looked at the photo that accompanied the article. The boy in the photo looked exactly like me. It was as if he was looking at his own reflection. What did this mean? Was that why the gray shadow kept appearing? The more I looked into it, the more questions I had. But one thing was certain. This house had a dark secret, and I was the one in the middle of it. After everything that happened, my parents decided to install a motion sensor camera in the house. They wanted to keep an eye on everything in case the gray shadow returned. For a year, the camera did not record anything unusual. The house became quiet, and life began to return to normal. But then, the anniversary of that terrible night came. I couldn't sleep, so I decided to check the camera footage at midnight. My heart pounded as I scrolled through the recordings. And there it was, a gray figure, standing in the same hallway where it had first appeared. This time, it did something new. It looked straight into the camera and waved, a creepy smile on its face. Then, just like that, it was gone. I sat there, frozen, staring at the screen. The creature had returned, and it knew we were watching. What did it want, and why had it returned on this day? The mystery of the Yellow House deepened, and I wasn't sure I wanted to know what happened next.